Welcome to the SBIDER Career podcast
with Laura Guzman
and Ed Hill.
The SBIDER Career podcast is our series where we discuss the career trajectories of SBIDER researchers and also those who carry out important work that enables and supports the research being conducted.
In this episode, we are joined by Alfie Ballinger. At the time of recording, Alfie is currently undertaking a URSS summer project. This project is taking place during July and August 2024. URSS stands for the Undergraduate Research Support Scheme. This scheme enables University of Warwick undergraduate students to carry out a non-assessed self-directed research project, with these projects lasting for between 6 to 10 weeks.
Join us as we discuss Alfie's URSS project experiences and perspectives on getting experience of research.
Hi Alfie, thank you for joining us today.
Welcome to SBIDER Careers.
Hi, thanks.
So Alfie, would you first like to tell listeners what your undergraduate studies are in and the topics you were most interested in?
Yeah, so I've just completed a MMath and undergraduate integrated masters. So the topics that I'm mainly interested in is to do with epidemiology, mainly covering topics to do with the control of diseases and trying to eradicate them as best as possible.
And with that integrated masters, that was a four-year undergraduate?
Yeah, that's 4 years, yeah.
And how did you hear about the URSS scheme? What was your motivation for getting experience of scientific research?
Yeah, so I first heard about the URSS scheme through some of my friends previously that had done one, and it just sounded like a great chance to get exposure to something that's not in an exam format of my usual undergraduate studies. So getting exposure to both real-world data and seeing what happens in people's jobs and how they deal with Ed, how he deals with eradicating diseases, and in particular with the vaccine stuff. And it also just seemed a great opportunity to get more exposure to stuff that I'm particularly interested in and finding out by getting to ask questions of people that are real experts in their field.
So as mentioned in our intro, so these projects are self-directed. So Alfie's working with myself on this project, but it's very much Alfie you came up with the idea and basically built a proposal, which was then applied for the scheme and for funding, which you were awarded, which was fantastic. And so with respect to the projects you're currently working on, what has been your focus? What has been kind of the main themes that you've been exploring?
So the focus of my project has really been looking at the data and mathematical models that is used to help determine the cost effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines. So it's been looking at different groups of individuals in the population based on either their age or health risks and determine would it be cost effective from a public health policy point of view to give them the COVID-19 vaccine in the spring and autumn booster campaigns.
This cost effectiveness, this type of modelling, this is something which you not necessarily had prior experience from the undergraduate studies. So this is also part of what can be gained from such a URSS type project is broadening the skill set essentially.
Yeah, so it's been great just delving away from the mathematical points of view and really getting that exposure to something new in terms of the health economics, something that I hadn't seen during my undergraduate study. So it was great to get exposure to that and then use that combining with my mathematical skill set to apply it to this topic that I'm particularly interested in.
Yeah, and I can imagine that it's so different to your previous undergraduate experience in topic and also in experience in your everyday. So as the project have progressed, what are the types of tasks you conduct day to day?
So since starting, there's two particular skills that I've been using that wouldn't have expected to use at the start and was slightly different to what I'd used during my undergraduate time. And the main skills the first one was looking at analysing data. So looking at analysing real world data, very different to my university experience where it was all very made up and neat, where the real world data, you can see the issues that occur with that and potentially how you get to solve them. And then the other skill that I'm really using now is also writing code up in Python, and not just like scripted Python where you're kind of told exactly what to do and you change a little bits here and there. It's really setting up the Python code to use what you need it for so you're able to solve the problem at hand.
within this research setting, yes, within a lot of, say, undergraduate courses, there is an answer, which is, ultimately there's perhaps an answer which is known and you're looking to attain, but here there's not necessarily an answer that we know. We're trying to gather information, we're trying to understand the system, the situation, and therefore it's what are the reasonable questions to ask and what are the reasonable approaches to help us answer that question, and then we don't necessarily know what the outcome's going to be. So I imagine that can be very different to then the experience from undergraduate study as well.
For sure.
It definitely looks way closer to a PhD life, if that's what you are planning to do.
Yeah, I think it gives definitely great exposure to that more PhD route and research route, rather than, like Ed said, there being an answer for absolutely everything. Potentially there's not an answer and you need to kind of decide, well, why is there not an answer, or stop instead of just keep on going because potentially you're wasting time doing that. So there's skills in that as well.
Yeah, totally.
So you've mentioned some of the new analytical side, new skills, and on the coding side as well. Are there any other skill sets that's more perhaps transferable type skills, professional skills that you've developed during this project that perhaps you didn't originally anticipate you might need?
I think the one skill that I have developed that I didn't expect, and again is very different to kind of a degree-based skill set, is being able to step away from the analytical detail and like the mathematics and being able to step away and see the bigger picture of what's going on. So just by stepping away and looking at that bigger picture, it kind of allows you to interpret the complex details in a way that when you have to explain it to someone that hasn't got the understanding of what's going on, you're able to explain it to them much better. So people of different backgrounds are able to understand, and also being able to step away and look at the bigger picture. It helps with the modelling aspects of things, coming up with the assumptions and understanding what assumptions are definitely required and what assumptions may make models too complex that may not be easily dealt with.
One of the hopes with this project was to get you the exposure to the fact for this type of problem there is a range of different disciplines, different expertise that are involved. Therefore, the communication across these groups is very important in terms of are we speaking a common language, or is there an understanding of a method from this discipline, what it's doing and how that's then useful for the work that we're doing.
Yeah, it is amazing you being exposed during your undergraduate, for sure. So to undergraduates interested in getting experience of research, what would be one thing you would like them to take away about your URSS-style projects?
I think the one piece of advice I would give to someone coming into this kind of project is to really embrace the learning process over then the final outcome. So during your undergraduate studies, you're more worried about how's my assignment going to look and how's the exam results going. This is really an opportunity to be able to just learn and ask as many questions as possible and really delve into something you're truly interested in. And so it's really just taken away as much as you possibly can and really trying to engage with it in that sense rather than just thinking, what can I produce at the end?
I'd strongly echo that. And in terms of, say, there are some, say, outputs from this project, of which, say, this is one of them. It's like an engagement type piece. And then there is also a perhaps slightly more formal, but perhaps, say, a poster report style output. But again, it's kind of freedom in how that's presented, what information is contained. So yes, it's very much thinking about the understanding, general skill set development, etc.
Yeah, and enjoying the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alfie, for joining us today and then sharing your insights on the project, and looking forward to the conclusion of it.
Thank you for joining us, and I think this is a good exposure for undergraduate students and also a good reminder for us of what the changes have been in our careers.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
And thank you all for listening to this episode of the SBIDER Careers podcast.